You know, June is such a busy month for people. They finish off school, then you head into wedding season, summer holidays. Chances are you'll throw a party. And if you do, you should know that it comes with something called social host liability. To explain to us more about that and what we need to know is lawyer Howard Yegendorf. Howard, good to see you again.
Thanks, Michael. Hi.
What exactly is this responsibility that we all have?
Well, I mean, it all starts, there's a law in Ontario called the Ontario Occupiers Liability Act. And what that means is if you're an occupier of premises, and there's a broad definition to the word occupier, so it could be somebody who owns premises, it could be somebody who rents premises. If you're in control of premises, you have an obligation under that act to ensure that people who come on your premises, visitors, guests, are reasonably safe. You have to take reasonable steps to ensure that they're safe. Mm-hmm. That means, you know, in the wintertime, salting your walk and things like that, just to make sure your premises are safe. But then you go on to the events that you're talking about, when people host a party, and particularly if it's involving young people. You know, this time of year, there's a lot of graduation parties, there's young people going to cottages, around lakes, and there's oftentimes alcohol served in those situations. And listen, unfortunately, young people and alcohol, oftentimes it doesn't end well. So you got to be careful in those situations. And the law basically, with respect to social host responsibility, asks the question, is the person who throws the party, the person who owns the premises where alcohol is consumed, is that person liable if anything happens either at the premises because of an alcohol-related accident, or let's say a car accident that happens after a person leaves the premises? So
that's the part that I think would concern people most. If something happens at your house, well, you know, happens at your house,
sure,
you know you might be liable. But somebody's gone.
Right.
They're gone. They're an hour away. They're 2 hours away.
Right.
But you could still get yourself in trouble.
You could. The law is evolving in that area, Michael. There is a case, a seminal case in the Supreme Court of Canada called Childs versus Desormeaux that said, no, there is no social host responsibility in the circumstances of that particular case. There were adults and somebody got impaired at a party and went out, had an accident, and it was a very tragic accident. And the person who got injured in that accident sued, went all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada, and the court said no social host liability in that case, but it did leave open the possibility for liability in other situations, particularly, and it gave us an example where there's a supervisory role played by the host. So in other words, if you have teenagers attending at your home and they're consuming alcohol, you may be found to have a supervisory role. And if one of those teenagers leaves, gets into a car accident, you could find yourself being a defendant in a lawsuit.
Sadly, our time has gone really quickly. In 20 seconds, can you tell us the one most important piece of advice you would give to someone?
Well, I would say, you know, don't turn a blind eye to this. Be proactive. If you're going to have a party with the kids, bear in mind they're G1, G2 drivers. No alcohol is allowed in their bloodstreams whatsoever when they drive. Make sure there's taxis, encourage sleepovers. The main thing is maintain control over the party if there is a party. Right. Don't turn a blind eye to it.
Howard Yegendorf, great advice. Howard is easy to find if you want some advice.
Thanks a lot.
This is the man to see. Good to see you again.
Thank you.